When I heard you posting about practical strategies, I thought, if this doesn't help me, I'm helpless. I just didn't have a framework to know myself yet. Thanks to my work with you, I now feel like I have a toolkit to help me approach some of the more challenging administrative aspects of the job in a way that feels more empowering. Like I can handle it.
Welcome, everybody. Today on the ADHD Skills Lab, I am super excited because I am joined by somebody that I've known for many years now who embodies what it means to build a brilliant and meaningful life with ADHD and have a career that makes space for both complexity and success. I'm going to talk about both of them. So, Dr. Jacquelyne Read is an assistant professor of chemistry at the University of Texas at San Antonio, where she specializes in organic synthesis, data science, and machine learning. Her work has been recognized nationally, including a major publication award, which we will talk about, for the top paper in her field. And she is now thriving, I think she's thriving, in a tenure-track role after years of navigating the ups and downs of academia. If you've been in academia, you will know that it has ups and downs. But her story isn't just about professional success. It's also about learning to work with her ADHD brain instead of against it. Jacquelyne and I have been working together for multiple years now. She's been a client since the very beginning with Unconventional Organization. And in this conversation, she has very, very kindly been nice enough to open up a little bit about what that journey looked like. So post-PhD to award-winning professor, we're going to go on that journey with you today. So welcome, Jacquelyne.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and happy to share my journey.
Yeah, definitely. So take us through, let's talk at the beginning. So, what first made you decide to go into chemistry and kept you going in chemistry for so many years? Because you got to love chemistry. There is no way at this point that is not the case.
Yeah, I think that chemistry is one of those subjects that a lot of people, when I tell them I'm, a chemist, they're like, oh, that was like the one subject that
paper
they
I
hated
didn't
at
like.
school.
Yeah.
Or, a lot of people give chemistry teachers that don't just capture their fascination and wonder, unfortunately. My chemistry teachers were awesome. They would light things on fire. I mean, I will never forget the first time I saw someone dip a dollar bill in a solution, light it on fire. It would burn off the alcohol. And then the dollar bill would remain okay. It's with a particular ratio of, I think, like isopropanol and water or something like that. It needs to be a particular ratio for it not to burn up, but have enough alcohol to ignite the flames.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was fascinated. I was 13, but I've got to give a lot of credit to my parents because when I was 5 years old, you know how most kids get bored at restaurants and, cause havoc. My version of causing havoc was taking everything at the table and mixing it in drinks and creating my little solution. So then that, my parents didn't squash it right away. So then that turned into vats at home where I would just combine all sorts of stuff.
I'm sure the do not drink the combined thing conversation must have been very much a part of your household.
Yeah, but they really let me have my kind of creative freedom. And I think I've just always been fascinated with our physical world. And I've always wanted to understand the world around us. And for me, I derive the most joy out of the understanding at the chemical level.
Yeah, 100%. And so when we first met, you were at a very crucial point of your career. I think a lot of people can relate if they've ever done anything postgraduate related. So you were wrapping up your PhD and you were sort of in this uncertainty of the next career step and managing relatively new at that point diagnosis of ADHD. Can you take us back to how you were feeling at that time?
Yeah, sure. So I was technically in my postdoctoral research. It was during COVID, and my PhD work, I had certain coping mechanisms that I think we'll talk about. But a lot of my work during my PhD was physical. So I was in a synthetic organic laboratory. So I would be, mixing solutions. It was a lot of standing on your feet, physical labor, as well as a lot of reading and intellectual input. But my kind of symptoms didn't get to an unmanageable level at that point. When I was doing postdoctoral work, I was learning computational chemistry, data science. So that was a lot more desk-based work.
Yeah.
And I was in a shared office space. And so my therapist at the time actually suggested that I go get evaluated for ADHD because I would always talk about how I can't focus, everyone's talking. And, I bought the most expensive noise canceling headphones I could, and I could still hear my neighbor talking through them. And so I went to this person who gave me the traditional diagnostic test, and she didn't even start the questions. After about 2 minutes, she's like, okay, yes, I'm certain you will have ADHD, but I guess I should just do these for formality. It was, a real kind of epiphany for me because I had struggled with certain things throughout my childhood and adolescence and early adulthood, but I had always loved school. So, like sitting still or focusing in the school, kind of the traditional symptoms that come in young childhood for certain types of people with ADHD. I didn't really exhibit those. And so it was really when my job was to sit at a desk and work on a computer that it became unmanageable and my coping skills weren't really keeping up. And so and then of course COVID hit. And you'd think that going from a busy shared office space to alone and you're working alone at a desk in your house would be better. But, it was still a lot of the same struggles. So I joined a ADHD academic Facebook group, and that's where I came across your information.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I reached out. I looked back today because I was curious when it was. February of 2021 was when I reached out.
That's what I was thinking. That you've been working with us almost as long as this business has been here.
Great to be an OG member. I looked in my little message that I had sent your organization then, and it said that I was diagnosed about a year ago. So I think I was diagnosed right before COVID happened. So probably January or February of 2020. No doubt I had been through the ringer of trying the sort of normal medications you get prescribed. And I think I reached out because that was not helpful for me.
Yeah.
I didn't respond super well to any of those. So I was like, when I heard you posting about, practical strategies, I thought, hey, if this doesn't help me, I'm helpless.
Yeah, definitely. And so when you kind of came into the program, I'm curious, what were you hoping for at that point? Like what kind of strategies were you hoping for?
Well, I think you and I have spoken about this a little bit, and I'm happy to share in a public setting, but I had always felt like there was something wrong with my brain. But I don't use that language now. But then I had felt like the mold that the world wanted me to perform in, I'd never quite fit. Like a circle and a square peg, or I guess it's a square peg and a round hole is the same. And I wanted help kind of understanding this. So in connecting with other people through this Facebook group, and then I came across your organization and the kinds of practical help and reframing that really interested me. And I must say, probably the most powerful takeaway from working with you in a coaching setting has been just reorienting my expectations for myself. I think I had this real low self-esteem because I was constantly beating myself up for not fitting into a mold that I could never realistically fit in.
Yeah.
And so level one of working with you was, hey, I just need to accept that I'm a little different, and that is okay. I'm going to be better at some things, and I'm going to be worse at other things. And let's try to capitalize on those strengths and create systems that help us ameliorate those weaknesses.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was that was transformative for my self-esteem. So I really have to thank you a lot for that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And a lot of it was you kind of doing the work as well of having those epiphanies, because it wasn't easy. I remember moving house. You remember, just like things would be thrown up, like packing and all kinds of things. But you talked about how staying up all night, and I really want to talk about this because I think
Hmm.
this is common for a lot of people. The
Sure.
staying up all night coping strategy stopped working after grad school. So
Yep.
take me through, what is that coping strategy and why do you think it stopped working?
Oh yeah, sure. That's an easy answer. So what I would do, my work schedule during my PhD. So I would have to do a combination of experimental lab work and some reading and planning experiments, analyzing
Mm-hmm.
data, things like that. So if I needed to like read something or plan something, that was best done late at night.
Mm-hmm.
So if I needed to sit at my desk and think about something, I would like start being able to do that at like 7 p.m. when most people were
Mm-hmm.
leaving. So I'd get
Mm-hmm.
in late morning and then I'd probably stay, since my good brain would turn on at
Mm-hmm.
7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
after everyone was gone, I'd stay till the middle of the night a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And, all hail New York City, city that never sleeps. It was fine taking public transit in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I always felt safe, but
Yeah.
to get home. But I finished my PhD when I was 27, and I just started to need to be able to sleep.
Yeah.
When you're young,
Mm-hmm.
you feel invincible. You can go nights without sleep, cram for exams, convinced that your
Mm-hmm.
brain is still performing at the highest
Mm-hmm.
level. It probably wasn't, but you at least feel like you can be a functioning human in the next day. Like 27, 28 for me was like, okay, no, body was drawn a line and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
needed my sleep to function the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some listeners will, relate to this, but I don't tolerate caffeine that well.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
actually makes me very tired, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
told, some of you out there with ADHD
Yeah.
might have a similar response. So it's not like I can stay up all night and then just drink a bunch of coffee in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just
Mm-hmm.
put me back to sleep with a
Yeah.
racing heart, ironically.
Yeah.
So it's, I really started to need to listen to the needs of my physical body. And there was just no way getting around that anymore. I couldn't put off the inevitable. So that's
Yeah.
why I had to give up that coping mechanism. I miss
Mm-hmm.
it, boy, because there's no brain quite like the like 1 a.m. brain with a deadline,
The
of your young
dopamine is
20s.
off the charts. Yeah,
Off the
I
charts.
I appreciate you sharing that story because I actually hear that a lot from a lot of different people. Is that they used to do that, and I remember the same. I was the same. I remember there was one time during my masters, and I perhaps unsurprisingly burned out right afterwards. I talked about that in a
Mm,
previous episode where I slept for 15 minutes. And then I
yeah.
woke up and drank something and got on a bus and
Hmm.
went to teach because that was fine. That counted as sleep. That was probably the worst one. But yeah, I think that is very much an aspect of our 20s is using these coping mechanisms. And one of the things that happens, because a lot of the people that come to work with me are in their 30s and 40s and 50s and beyond. It's like
Mm.
eventually your brain and body just go, mm-mm, no, we've got too much complexity, we've got too much stuff, and we're calling it on this coping mechanism.
Yeah, boy, I was a frequent guest at the hotel laboratory conference room with a sleeping bag. But I think about this a lot, Skye. Like all of the last minute essays I wrote in high school, staying up all night, all of the reports and deadlines, studying, cramming for
Mhm.
exams.
Mhm.
I think I would have thoroughly enjoyed sleeping those nights. And I probably would have functioned much better. It's just I didn't have the
Yeah,
skills.
or the
ADHD
dopamine.
wasn't even,
That's the
or the,
thing. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the skills to provide you the dopamine that you're lacking
exactly.
until it's right before the deadline. And
Yeah,
I just didn't have a framework to know myself yet.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Are you a business owner who is struggling with ADHD symptoms? Maybe your business is making money, but you know it could be doing more. You feel like you're the bottleneck. You can't get yourself to focus. You start every day with 100 urgent tasks, and you've actually just given up on even trying to delegate. If that sounds like you want to get unstuck, you want to start growing, go ahead and click the link down below. I will show you exactly how to bridge the gap between knowing what to do and doing it consistently, even on the tough days. I've helped people like Tanya triple her revenue by focusing on her most important tasks. Kendall increased her sales volume. James used my focus routine to get his time back. Chelsea secured enough sponsorships to race in Europe, and Kate was able to get $75,000 in grants and go full-time on her business. So if you want to know how to prioritize and delegate when everything is on fire, without that inevitable crash out and the last-minute panic, so that you can actually spend time with the people that matters and doing what matters, go ahead and click the link down below, and I will show you how to bridge that gap between knowing and doing consistently with ADHD. And if we just do a little zoom forward, and then we'll talk about the strategies to get from A to B, you've gone from, postdoc being like, okay, I need to figure this out, wondering, do you fit in academia? Where do you fit? To now holding a tenure-track role, winning awards. Like, how does it feel to take a moment and reflect on how far you've come in 4 years?
It's a dream come true. I had this moment this morning where I was just reflecting, and I'm just so happy. Like, I'm happy to go to work on a holiday because I love my job and I love the opportunity, to make contributions to scientific research in new and creative ways, to run a team of brilliant students who have trusted me with their scientific training and education. And one of the perks about getting to this level is I get my own office and I can close the door.
Yep.
And that is not something that I ever got in my training stages. So first of all, private office, sign me up, any job. But more realistically, I mean, in coaching with you, you help me think about what are my strengths. And I am very detail oriented, and I am so passionate about my field. And this job is kind of perfectly set up for the ADHD hyper focus, creativity and pursuit, passionate pursuit of, new discoveries in your field. And I think that part of the job I am ideally suited for. There is another part of the job, which is, administrative, managing finances, managing people. Essentially, anything administrative is hard for me. But I think that's going to happen, and that's going to be a part of any job. And so part of it was realizing, I actually do have the creativity and drive and intellect and passion to make it in a professor type job. I am also very passionate about teaching students and communicating my love for chemistry in that way. And thanks to my work with you, I now feel like I have a toolkit that I can pull out to help me approach some of the more challenging administrative aspects of the job in a way that feels more empowering. Like, I can handle it. And so you're right. I was at a crossroad where, am I really cut out for this job that I thought I've always wanted? And I think a lot of these tools have made me feel confident that I can succeed in this position. Knock on wood. I've been here 6 months.
Which is awesome. Well, you've been nailing it. And so let's talk a little bit about this. So we've talked about where you were at, where you've come. We've touched on some of these systems. Because, like you said, there were some definite crossroads moments where it was like, is this going to work? Anybody who's looking at Jacquelyne and being like, God, how did it must have been, it was not easy. I was there. Jacquelyne worked very hard for many, many weeks and months and pushed through a lot of things. So, can you give the listener a few, I guess, moments where you did implement a system or a strategy and it felt like it started to work, or maybe it wasn't working and then you made an adjustment and now it's working? Like, what were some of those moments for you?
Yeah. I'll frame it in a couple categories, if that's all right. I think number one, and we've alluded to this a little bit, is a shift of mindset. So moving from this is too much, I can't handle it, it's not built for me, to I need to figure out how to build systems to make this work for me. And so a perfect example, I was writing a manuscript right when we started our coaching journey, or soon after. And writing in itself is kind of an amorphous thing in terms of the time. How long will it take to write a research paper? Oh boy, how much time do you have? That's usually the answer, is how much time do you have?
Yeah, down to the minute.
Yeah, down to the minute, yeah. But what you helped me do is build a massive Google Doc, and we took a fine-grained analysis of what are the individual steps. So, in your brain, you have this maybe floating concept of write paper. However, if we actually break that down into the individual, very explicitly defined tasks, okay, do some research about how to make a good figure. Try version of figure number 1. Try version number 2. Re-download software because it is out of date. So just it almost seemed silly doing it in the moment, but once I had all of that compiled, write introduction, but not just that, compile all the references, literature search for references of this word I'm going to mention in my introduction. It really opened my eyes to the magnitude of the task. We talk about time blindness a lot in our coaching, where you have an idea of a task, but it can be really difficult to estimate how long it's going to take. And so just seeing this
all of
amorphous,
the things.
this amorphous task of write paper being broken down into like a 7 to 10 page document with okay, all of the individual steps, it becomes crystal clear, even to someone as bad as time estimation as myself, that it is a months long process.
Yeah.
And so that was eye opening.
And I will say, like, you had to do it by hand. So I remember you did it, it took a while. Nowadays, you can drop that information into an AI and have it break it down for you. So it's even faster, that process.
That is true. It was impressively good at some of the scientific things I've put in. I haven't tried out the time estimation of that yet, but you also encouraged me to, estimate a time for one specific task and then record how long it actually took me.
Yes.
And so after that, I quickly realized I needed to multiply my, what I thought were generous estimates, minimum by 3. Is kind of what I realized. Now, this is something that I've repeated a few times for large, tasks in my life. And I don't think I've gotten it down to a perfect streamlined process yet. But I will say, if I had that tool and your coaching during my PhD, it probably wouldn't have taken me so long to write my dissertation, because I spent a lot of the time going in circles being like, I don't know how to sit at my desk and write all day. I've never done this before.
It's a big shift.
Yeah. So that was incredibly valuable. And I draw on that to this day to help kind of understand this disconnect between what I think a task is and then what a task actually is.
Yeah, definitely. I also want to touch on something, and if you don't want to touch on this, we can just cancel this section. But there was a period, if I think about the things that you did from my perspective that made huge differences, there was a period where when you were looking for a tenure track position, because you had to, find one that was going to work for you and also for your husband and all of that kind of thing. There was a period where it was like, okay, we're going to make a very large spreadsheet. Do you remember the spreadsheet?
Oh, what spreadsheet was it?
It was a spreadsheet of all of the applications that you'd sent out.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, because that was a big, like when I looked back, because I was also thinking about this and going through. When I looked back at like what it was for you, there was a moment where you were like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try this.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked about the idea of, because a lot of people have these things, they're applying for jobs, they're trying to get into something, and it was about volume, really, really going for it with regards to, rather than just being like this option and then fingers crossed. It's like making a whole spreadsheet for it.
Yes, I just pulled it up. I had completely forgotten about that. Yeah, great tip for anyone applying for a job. There can be so many to keep track of. You just put hyperlinks if you want to link to a particular application or the company website or whatever. You can put location and salary if they post it, rank, status. So, like, got a Zoom interview, then an on-site interview, or online, comments say they've already sent out their interviews. So, okay, let's gray that out. Yeah, I just opened this and yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was. And I think, it was that kind of, again, that kind of breaking it down, not just in your work, but also in the things that you wanted to do, that made you able to apply for all those jobs. Because there was a lot, like, there's deadlines and all kinds of different pieces there.
Yeah, I think I counted here. I think it's somewhere between 80 and 90 that I applied for, based on my spreadsheet. It was all a blur.
Yeah, 100%. So definitely, like, again, breaking it down.
Yes.
What else was helpful? I know that popcorn featured quite heavily, and it doesn't feature anymore. Or does it?
Oh, absolutely. I never go without. Well,
This
yeah,
one,
great. It doesn't say the brand, so we don't have to pay for product, or they don't. We have to be online for product placement.
It's
but
popcorn, yeah.
Popcorn, I don't know what it is. I am in the food pyramid of Jacquelyne Read. Popcorn is layers 1 through 3, probably, and then water. Got to keep hydrated. Got to keep the salty snacks.
Yeah, but in terms of stepping into focus, I know we did so many different things about stepping into focus. Where are you at with that now? Like, what is the thing that helps you step into focus?
It's not perfect yet. It's not
Which
perfect.
is good for people to know. Good for people to know.
Yeah. What I do right now, well, it all kind of goes back to, have you winnowed down your priorities for the day? And once I do that, using your helpful prioritization filter list, which I'm not sure if you've talked about on the podcast before.
I have, but I probably don't talk about it enough. Yeah.
Essentially, we just decide, well, something bad happen if I don't do this today. Will something bad happen if I don't do this in 7 days? And then here are all the things that I would like to do, but I'm not going to lose my job if they don't happen. So categorizing those helps, get me into the kind of focus for the whole day. And then I block out on my calendar when I'd like to do each of the things. And then going from that, I have a pretty good, I guess, direction to take my day in. And so I used a lot of, let's see if I can find one here. A lot of pink Post-it notes. Every time I sit down to do a task, it can help to write down what you want to get done in this work session. Though I find that since I've been keeping better entries in my calendar, I find myself doing this less, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing. So I might be deviating slightly. Sorry, Skye.
No, it's okay. You can do it. Sometimes we don't need it as much, but it's always good to, like, check. I think it's really like if you start the task and 30 minutes later you're like, what am I doing? Then you're like, the post-it. The post-it was needed.
Got it. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So sometimes I think I probably should go back to that. But usually I, make myself a cup of tea or some gum, play some music. I have taken your suggestion and got a few little fidget toys.
Nice.
Which have helped, just occupy some fraction of my brain that doesn't want to be balancing a budget. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then I can persuade myself to do it more easily. Yeah. Upbeat music. So me and Ariana Grande, like I must be one of her top listeners in the world. Ariana, if you're out there, thank you. You helped me complete my PhD and also get this job. So way to go. Highly recommend some upbeat music. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I think that those are my main go-tos. Yeah. Tea, popcorn, gum, good upbeat music.
Love that. No,
clear
very,
list
very
of
cool.
what I want to accomplish.
Very cool. And cool for people to hear like how things happen. Because I think so often we just see that something happened and we're like, they must be so amazing and never have a problem. And it's like,
oh no.
Actually.
Blood, tears. It was a battle. It is a battle. It is a daily struggle. Just last week, I, kind of broke down in tears, feeling like I should be better at this by now. Somehow I thought I could, complete a few things in one day, and I didn't even get any of them done. And I just felt so blindsided by, that I really wasn't realistic to be able to do those things in that day. Yeah. And so it's really a 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 4 steps to the right. It's it is a continual battle, and I think it always will be. I think about my dad a lot because we're very similar. He's not a chemist. He's in business, but he was one of those, characteristic ADHD young boys where like as a young child in the 1960s, okay, the doctors were like, okay, yeah, this kid has something going on. I'm not sure if they called it ADHD back then, but my grandma says that they put him on medication and he only got worse. So he has been unmedicated his whole life. Yeah. And, I've seen he has these lists of like most important things to do. He is an entrepreneur, so self-made businessman, and he kind of thrives in that. And I feel like I have a little bit of that like independent spirit. But I've really been encouraged by the way that, even without I'm not sure if he's ever had a formal ADHD diagnosis, but he's kind of carved out a path in life that works for him and systems that work for him. And, I feel really lucky because I had you to help me do that.
It's like give you the systems. But I think that is how it works. And it isn't, perfect. I mean, I was saying just today, I have things on my prioritization filter that I technically ticked off, but I haven't removed. And, like it's never 100% perfect. Life doesn't get 100% perfect. But if you use the systems and you take those steps every day, those steps forward, even when there's steps back, you can get amazing places. And that kind of brings me to my next thing. So your postdoctoral paper that you handed in sort of a blur, a couple of years ago, has now won a major award as the top publication in the journal for 2024, which, first of all, massive congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you. And
how did you feel? How did you manage getting that out in the world? And how do you feel about that now?
I spent so long rewriting and then you submit it to this journal and then another journal and the reviewers want changes. And so by the time it was published, I just like never wanted to see it again, which is, I'm sure a lot of people have written master's theses or dissertations,
Oh,
and anyone
yeah.
else who's in academia listening to this, you've probably reached a point where you're like so sick of what you've been working on, you just want to toss it over a cliff. So in all honesty, that's how I felt a bit. But I'm really proud of the work. Well, every time I go back and read it, I think it's a great paper. So it was published in the Journal of Organic Chemistry, and I'm just so proud. I also benefited from an incredible team. So I did, I am the first author on the work, so I led most of the research. But I had the benefit of two other students I was working with, as well as two postdoctoral advisors who were advising me on the project. And having that group environment was really beneficial. And that's something that, if anyone's out there and likes science but thinks it's a room and you're just all quiet in lab coats and, staring at mice or something, it's a party. We're fun people. We play music in the labs. Like, it's a really strong group environment. Science does not happen in a vacuum. And so I think that was another thing that helped me make it to the finish line with this very complex, long research article, is that, we were helping each other through it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think you handed it in when we first started working together. Is that the case? You said it was around about then, or was it before?
We ended up submitting it in for the first time. Oh boy, probably in the 2022 range.
Yeah.
Is that right? I'm sorry, probably 2023.
Yeah.
I think we officially submitted in 2023, but I had a draft when we started working together. I had a draft. It was constantly undergoing changes and improvements.
So it would have been just one of the things on your task list. And I think that is interesting to note for those of you who has a task list, is that sometimes one of the things on your task list that you're like, I just have to get this thing out the door, can have this amazing response.
That's true. And it can feel discouraging to have it sitting on your task list for about 3 years.
Yep.
So if any of you are, remodeling a home or working on a, other long-term project, this more expanded document where you can check off your incremental achievements is key to help you not lose interest. Because if you just see it sitting there and you're working on it, but it's this big amorphous ball of tasks, unless you untease those, you're probably going to have a lot more difficulty completing it than if you can benefit from that. Oh yeah, look, I made it 2% more on this project. Great. That's good.
Yeah, this is why we don't have finished proposal or right document on our task list ever. Not without it being broken down.
I think I have one on my task list for today that says write review. Oh no. But it's a short writing task.
Yeah, 100%. So this has been incredibly helpful, Jacquelyne. And I want to wrap it up by saying, if someone is listening to this and they have ADHD, or they suspect they have ADHD, and they have dreams and goals and ambitions, maybe goals that they feel a little bit outsized in some ways, but they also feel like they're falling short, and they have insecurities about, can they reach this goal, and should they even try? What recommendations do you have for them?
I think when I was a student thinking about my dreams of becoming a professor, I saw one way modeled to me. And I didn't have the awareness that I could create a different way when I would inhabit that role. That the way it works for person A, B, and C, if that's all I had seen modeled to me, that doesn't have to be the way that I do it. And that was something that, again, I really have to credit you with bringing in a perspective where I can, create systems that work for me. I can hire someone to help with some of the admin. If that's my weakest point, I can, restructure some of the ways I keep track of literature or our finances or things like that, where if the system doesn't exist to make it easier for me, we can build one and we can still move forward in a job that, you are incredibly passionate about and very motivated to pursue. So, yeah, if anyone is out there wondering and apprehensive about areas that don't seem like there are places for them, keep an open mind. Think about creative ways you can rework that for
Yeah.
yourself, for people that come after you. And hopefully, someone that's gone ahead of you will have been able to expand the scope of that. But if not, don't be afraid to be the first one. I'm certainly not the first ADHD academic, but I didn't see one modeled to me. So I'm benefiting a lot from our coaching together and some of the flexibility that
Yeah.
I've built in.
Yeah. No, awesome. And yeah, honestly, Jacquelyne, I'm just so proud of you. You've done such a great
Aw,
job. And yeah, when I think about your journey, it honestly makes me smile because yeah, you worked through so many ups and downs over the past few years and you deserve all of the happiness and all of the success. So that's awesome.
thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm proud of where I've made it to, and I have big goals for the future. So I'm excited to keep pushing and see what we can accomplish next.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks everybody. And yeah, we'll see you next time on the ADHD Skills Lab. Thank you for listening, and a big thank you to Adam for making us sound great, Anastasia for making us look great, and Jess for putting it all together. We couldn't do it without you. If you want to find out more about us or you want to deep dive into ADHD strategies, particularly for business owners, you can find us on Instagram at Unconventional Organization. That is where the community is. That is where we are chatting. You can see all the fun and exciting things that we're bringing to the table there. So please go find us. DM me any questions, any thoughts you have. I always like talking with you guys. See you soon.